You are currently the only person in this conference. You are currently the only person in this conference. You are currently the only person in this conference.
And we certainly thank you and welcome you here to our session 3 of Women Winning Government Contract Series presented by WWGCS Forum Leaders in partnership with PTAC and sponsored by Eaton Corporation. My name is Angie Fairbanks, the Strategic Program Manager for WWGCS ORV. And once again, we'd like to thank Dorinda Beyer and Jane Stewart for delivering sessions 1 and 2 of this really awesome series we have going on here. I do want to remind you to please be sure and mute yourselves while the presentation is going on so we're able to hear clearly. I would also suggest that if you are not speaking, to take yourselves off of camera as well in order to view the presentation in its full screen mode. Should you have any questions or comments, feel free to put those in the chat feature. I'm sure we can get those answered during the presentation as well. So today's topic is delivering a capability statement and will be presented by Jane Stewart, who is the Northeast Ohio Associate Director at Lakeland Community College Procurement Technical Assistance Center. This again is our Women Winning Government Contract Series and presented by our forum leaders and sponsored by Eaton Corporation. I do encourage you to take some really good notes today because this will help you as you prepare for session 4, which is finding and responding to opportunities within government. So, about Jane. Jane has been with PTAC since 2000. And over the past 20 years, she's held several positions and is currently an associate director covering the Northeast Ohio area. That office is located at the Lakeland Community College. Jane lives in Madison, Ohio with her husband, Kurt, and 3 dogs. She does have 3 sons, 2 currently serving in the U.S. Navy and 1 a merchant mariner. She also has 2 grandsons. I think, again, I'm speaking for everyone when we say we certainly appreciate their service and thank you for their sacrifice. Um, I present to you Jane Stewart. Jane.
Thank you, Angie. And I would like to say that grandbaby number 3 will present himself in a few months. So I just found out. Okay, so today we're going to be discussing capability statements, why they're important, why you should have one, and how to create one. So what is a capability statement? Essentially, it is a resume of your company, a one-page document that highlights what you do, how you do it, who you are, and why you're an awesome company. The components that need to be included are your core competencies. What is it that you do absolutely the very best? Past performance. Who have you done it for? Your corporate data. What type of socioeconomic categories fit your company? That you have your cage code, your DUNS number, etc. And most importantly, your contact information. So why should you have a capability statement? The most important reason is for marketing. Most government buyers will request a capability statement when you have a meeting. If we ever get to have face-to-face matchmakers again, a capability statement is the one thing that you want to make sure that you leave with the folks that you meet with. Most buyers aren't interested in big flashy folders, all the glossy marketing materials. I have been to too many events where I've seen all of that get tossed in the trash. A one-page capability statement with your business card attached, they're much more likely to keep that and take it back to the office. A capability statement is often requested as one of the documents in a bid or proposal, and it's usually required in a sources sought submission. A sources sought is the market research that a buyer is required to do in order to make a contract a set aside for women-owned business, 8A, HubZone, etc. Unfortunately, the majority of sources sought notices go unresponded to. And when that happens, the buyer is left with no choice except to make it full and open competition. So it's very important to respond when you see those notices so they can be set aside for your business category. Plus, I think they really set a company apart from the competition. Not everybody has one. So when you can present a really good capability statement, whether it's through email or in person, I think it does get noticed. So the basics. You need to really think about it. You just don't want to slap something together and call it good. You have to remember this is your first impression oftentimes, and you want to make a good first impression. Some of the biggest mistakes I see, poor language skills, misspelled words. You got to double check, triple check to make sure you present yourself in the best light. Past performance is really, really important. And so often that past performance omits some key details, like the dates of the work that you performed, the dollar value of it. Oftentimes a buyer is looking for that type of information so they know that you have the capacity to handle what they're looking for. Too many core capabilities. Nobody can do everything. And if you list that your capabilities are, you're a machine shop, you're a construction company, you're an IT company, you're, whatever, those are too many different things. You have to have focus. You have to let them know what you do best. Another important topic is the differentiators. What sets you apart from your competitors? Too often, they're just generic differentiators and they're nothing special. You want to make the document interesting, visually and reading it. And also, I've seen where the information is not current. You want to make sure everything is up to date. Remember, people have a very short attention span. So if you're not capturing the reader's attention in less than a minute, it's probably not going to be saved, and they're just going to toss it aside. So what's the format? One page is ideal. Brevity is key. You want to keep everything simple, to the point. I think it is much better to use bullet points than big paragraphs. I think readers will usually scan through bullet points rather than trying to pick out keywords that they're looking for in their in a paragraph. You want to keep it visually interesting. You don't want, to be a little squirrel and have your nuts all over the place. You want it to be visually interesting with graphics, but don't go crazy and have things all over. Make sure that you include your company branding, your colors, your logo. And when you're attending an event and you're handing out your capabilities statement in hard copy, print it on quality paper, not, recycled stuff. You want to make a good impression. That's what a capability statement is all about. Oftentimes when a buyer is reviewing a capability statement, they're looking for specific keywords to draw to draw their attention. So you want to make it really easy to read. You want to make sure that the document can be scanned. Don't have your lines too close together. Use dividers for the different sections. And if you're going to be using it as an email, part of your email marketing, make sure that you convert it to a PDF format and your file name is descriptive. My company capability statement. Okay, content. Core competency. This is where you are letting the reader know exactly what you are absolutely fabulous at doing. You create a short introductory statement, identify what your company does best. What are the skills or technologies that set your company apart from every other company that does what you do? Make sure that you're only talking about what you can deliver with exceptional results. It might include your mission statement, or it might not. It depends on what your company does and how you do it. But you really need to give it some thought. You don't want to say my company can fulfill all your needs. That doesn't mean anything. You want to say my company provides, X, Y, and Z, and our delivery times are exceptional, whatever makes sense for your company. You might also want to have several different versions of your capability statements, so it's audience specific. There's information that a federal buyer is interested in, such as your cage code, your DUNS number, if you're WOSB certified, if you're 8A certified, HubZone. That information is federal contracting specific. A state buyer, for state contracting, they have different certification programs. The state of Ohio, for example, has the MBE Edge. Well, MBE Edge means absolutely nothing to a federal buyer. So by having multiple versions of the information, you're only providing your audience with the information that is relevant to that particular organization or agency. So past performance. Past performance is what everybody wants, especially a federal buyer. They want to know that you have done the work previously and that you've done it successfully. You can list previous clients as well as current customers. Your past performance doesn't just have to be government contracts. It can be commercial work. It can be subcontracting. You want to provide a contact and their title and contact information, and definitely make sure that that person is still with the organization. And include a very brief description of what the work included. It can just be a one line. What was the time frame of the project, if that's relevant? Include the dollar value. If the dollar value is $1 million, that's pretty important for the person, excuse me, for the person reading this, because it gives them an indication of what your capability and your capacity is. You also want to prioritize your past performance list. You want the most recognizable to be first, not necessarily the biggest dollar value, but you would have to make that determination for yourself. Whatever is the most impressive, you want on top. And you don't have to have a lot of past performance on your capability statement. You can just include a couple of projects that have been done previously, and then you could always add a line that more past performance can be provided as requested. Again, on past performance, you want part of what the past performance identifies is what your benefit is to the particular agency or department that you're marketing to. Again, if you're utilizing multiple capability statements that target particular audiences, you want to list the work that would be relevant to that agency. And remember, you want to be brief. It's not a dissertation. You want to the point and capture their attention quickly. Differentiators. This is probably the part that most companies have the hardest time with. The differentiators are the things that set you apart from your pack. How is your company different, better, distinct from your competition? Some examples to include: does your product have unique or extraordinary features? Does your product surpass what the competition has to offer at a better price? Do you have an incredible production capacity? Do you have a quality assurance program? Are you ISO certified? Do you have any other types of nationally recognized certifications? Industry certifications. Have you been awarded any awards from your current or past customers? Do you provide state-of-the-art technology? Do you have a very broad geographic coverage? Do you offer a green option? These things are things that a buyer might be looking for. So you have to determine what is important in your industry. If you're a manufacturer, do you have the latest equipment? Are you ISO certified? Do you have a 10,000 square foot facility? Do you have 100 employees? Whatever is relevant, that when somebody is looking at it, they say, wow, that's a company I really need to check out. So more about the differentiators. If you're having multiple capability statements, audience-specific information, you want it to focus on what that agency's specific needs are. The needs of the U.S. Navy are going to be different than the National Park Service. So you want the information that you present to be relevant to that particular audience. If you are responding to a source of thought notice, you might want to include a solution to whatever the notice statement of work is. The important thing to remember is to tailor to that specific opportunity. That will get you noticed. What differentiators are not, and I think this is really important, the differentiators are not socioeconomic certifications. Yes, it's very important that you identify that you are a woman-owned small business or a minority-owned small business or any of the other categories, but that is not what sets you apart. I always like to think of the certifications as icing on the cake. Those certifications can give you a little bit of an edge in the contracting arena, but that's not why you are going to get a contract. What gets you a contract is that you are a qualified, responsive, responsible business. Don't use generic statements. You're not the best. Figures, I can't think of a really good example off the top of my head, but you want to be specific. Don't just offer a generic statement. Your capability statement should never be static. You always want it to be updated and current. Quality people, quality services, quality products. solution provider, 100 years of experience, best in class. None of these mean anything. Anybody can make those statements. You want to think about what's behind that. One thing that I always find kind of annoying is when people say, our staff has 200 years of combined experience. That doesn't really mean anything. If your business has been in business for 100 years, that's different. But 100 years of experience, that not so much. So I think, again, it's almost more important what not to use as it is what to use. So you don't want to make statements like our plan is perfect, beautiful, cutting edge. That's boasting. And boasting lessens your credibility. Focused, dedicated, trustworthy. They don't really say a lot. They're vague statements. Don't use extra words. That just dilutes what you're trying to say. Instead of along the lines of, you want to use like or similar. Brevity is the key. Remember that. Extra words just take up space and don't add any value to your capability statement. Unnecessary qualifiers. Always, certainly, relatively. Again, that's just extra words that don't add value. I have a fabulous list of words and phrases not to use, and I'll make sure that Vanessa gets that list, and then she can distribute it to anyone who would like to have it.
We will do.
Okay, so company data. This should be in its own separate little section, and you want to make sure that you include your cage code, your DUNS number. Now, these are things that are specific to a federal audience. Your NAICS codes, North American Industrial Classification codes. Your PSC and FSC codes, the product service codes and the federal service codes. Excuse me. These are what federal contracts are identified or categorized by. So buyers will be looking for that information. The NAICS codes identify the type of business you are. And the PSC codes and FSC codes, those identify the very specific products and or services that you offer. Do you have a GSA schedule? A General Services Administration schedule? You want to include your GSA contract number. Do you have any other BPAs? A BPA is a blanket purchase agreement, or any other type of contracting vehicle. What are your socioeconomic certifications? This is where you want to identify all of the ones that apply to you. How many employees do you have? What's your capacity, if that's relevant to your business? Do you accept credit cards? That's important because on a federal level, the micro purchase threshold is $10,000. So that means if a buyer has a need that is under that $10,000 threshold, they can simply contact a vendor and say, call you up or email you and say, I need this, can you provide it? Then they'll give you your credit card number, their credit card number, and you've made a sale. Contact information. I have seen so many capability statements where contact information was excluded. You want a name, a person's name that they can call and ask for. Email address, phone number, what's your website? I'd like to also point out about your email. I know this is Business 101, but I just like to remind people, make sure that you have a professional email. If you don't have your own domain, and I really encourage people to have a domain for their company, at least make sure that your company name is included in your Hotmail or Gmail or whatever address. Funny, cute, sexy, whatever emails are not professional, and they do not make a good impression. So if you need help in locating some of those codes and information, I've included some websites here. The NAICS codes can be found on census.gov. And then similar codes that are used by state governments are the UNSPSC codes. So if your target audience is a state government, then you want to make sure to include the UNSPSC codes. If you're not already registered in SAM, which is a requirement for federal contracting, you can go to sam.gov. And if you need a DUNS number, you can call this number here or go to the Dun & Bradstreet website. The states, every level of government has their own certifications, so make sure that you're including the relevant certifications for your target audience. If it's the state government, the state of Ohio government anyway, they're interested in MBE and EDGE. If you're marketing to the city of Cleveland, WBE, DBE. Federal, 8A, HUB Zone, Service Disabled, Veteran-Owned, Woman-Owned Small Business. So once you create this fabulous capability statement, and if you need any help with your capability statement, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or your local PTAC office. We can't write anything for you, but we can provide templates, we can review your documents, that type of thing. So how are you going to use your capability statement? Well, number one, email marketing. 2 of my sons are in the Navy, and every federal agency location has a small business office. The small business office is where you want to start if you would like to do business with that particular organization. So whenever I go visit one of my boys at the base that they're located, I always try to make an appointment with the small business office. Those folks are real easy to find. Oftentimes just doing a Google search for small business office U.S. Navy or small business office National Park Service, and you'll be able to locate the contacts. And everyone that I have been able to meet with, they all tell me the same thing, that when they get capability statements emailed to them, if they're offering relevant products or services to their organization, they'll keep a file of those capability statements, because buyers will go to the small business office and to see if they have any small small businesses that might be able to fulfill an immediate need. Something for under that under that $10,000 micro purchase limit. So when you're emailing your capability statement to small business offices or contracting officers, make sure that you include a very brief introductory email and attach your capability statement. It's very important that you don't do any mass emails. Those will get spammed out and they won't get delivered. And again, make sure that it is in a PDF format, not a Word document. Always address the email to a specific person. No dear contracting professional or whatever. Always try to make sure you have a particular person that you can send it to and use their name and title. Let's see. So I already talked about the small business offices and how to locate them. The other time that you want to use your capability statement is when you have the opportunity to meet folks in person. Matchmaker events, vendor days. Many agencies will have vendor days where vendors are invited to their facility and you have the opportunity to meet with the various buyers. And that information is usually located on the small business office pages of the agency's website. Some mistakes I see when folks are trying to market. I've seen too many where there's not a contact person on the capability statement. It's just a generic info at mycompany.com. People want a specific person that they can pick up the phone and say, I want to talk to Karen, or a specific email so the information gets to the right person. When going to events or when you have in-person meetings, you have, these big folders with catalogs and slide decks, and they truly don't want that. I think it's important to have that type of information ready if it's requested, but just, don't pile it on them. I think especially when you're meeting in person, you should have a clear understanding of the agency's mission, their needs, their contracting requirements, and what types of contracting vehicles do they use. In my 21 years of PTAC, I've been to a lot of events, and the worst thing that you can do is sit down when you have the opportunity with a buyer or a small business person and say, so what do you need? No. You need to do your homework in advance. You need to know that the National Park Service has a big construction project coming up and you can fulfill these requirements. That information is available on the agency's website. If you aren't familiar with what types of projects or things might be coming up, the least you need to do is go to the website of that agency and find out how to do business with them. They all have a page on their website about how to do business with us. And some agencies have their own vendor registration. For example, if you are interested in doing business with NASA Glenn, they have a vendor registration. You want to have that all done and completed. So when you do have the opportunity to actually talk with one of the buyers or contracting officer, you can say, I have my cage code, I'm registered in SAM, I have gone to your website and I've completed the vendor registration. Could you give me some direction on what my next steps might be? Here's what I have to offer and how it can benefit your company. Do your homework. That is what will impress a buyer more than anything else. Don't be sharing stories of woe. Oh my goodness. If you sit down with the buyer and you say, you know, if I don't get a contract, I am just going to have to close up my business. No. You want to be positive. You want to be, you know, in a place where you can really provide a solution for that agency. You can't expect instant results. Marketing takes time. Even in the commercial world, marketing takes time. What is it? 7 touches before you actually see any results. And don't try to market to everyone. You have to focus. You have to start out very narrow and then you can expand. But do your research, find out what agencies are purchasing, what you have to offer, how they buy, and target your marketing that way. One of the services that PTAC can provide, and remember, all of PTAC services are free. We can help you do some of that research on what agencies are purchasing, how frequently, who they've bought it from. And that's really important intel. It's valuable information for your marketing plan. So, in conclusion, I would like to remind you to spell check. Read over your capability statement. Have somebody else read over your capability statement until you're absolutely positive that you have no misspellings, that all of your grammar is correct. Identify your audience and plan accordingly. If you're going to have multiple capability statements, make sure that you are providing the best capability statement for that particular audience. And don't forget to do your homework. It's really, really important that you identify what that particular agency or organization needs are. Don't hesitate to contact your local PTAC office for help, guidance, research, and templates. We have templates that we can share with you. And that's what I have. Are there any questions? Does anybody need clarification on anything?
At this time, I invite you to take yourselves off of mute and maybe even turn your camera on if you have any questions. Please do that at this time.
I did neglect to include my website. My apologies. The website, locate your local PTAC, 9 offices throughout the state. It's PTAC.io.edu.
Hi, Jane. I usually, on each of the sessions, I send a follow-up email with everything, all the agencies that are. So if you can send me over so I can share with everyone else on that email, and anything that was mentioned, as well the presentation and the recording. And also for those who have been not being able to attend the other ones, I will share the 3 recordings, including this one, on for the after this.
I'll get all that information over to you, and so you can share it with everybody.
Thank you.
So I am not seeing any questions in the chat as of yet. So
Good
Jane,
morning.
oh, go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Kristen Harper. I did put a question in the chat and got a great response from Shelley. I'd love to hear your perspective, Jane, as well. So I have over 20 years of corporate experience doing what I do now with my team in my business. How would you suggest that a business overcome that challenge if you don't have robust experiences from a business perspective as an entrepreneur doing that work, especially given your recommendation to tailor and customize?
Well, I always recommend that you identify the experience that you bring to the company. As the owner of the company is you. So even though your company is fairly new and you don't have a lot of company or past performance for the company, you can identify what you have done professionally. That is one case where you do want to say that you have 20 years of experience. And you just don't want to say I have 20 years of experience, but you want to identify what that 20 years of experience includes. You might want to list a couple of really awesome projects that you did, if that's relevant to the business. You know, whatever is most relevant to what you did that you bring to the business, you want to highlight it. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you. And would you mind repeating the website of the PTAC offices? Because I'd like to take advantage of getting that competitive intelligence.
Good. PTAC, PTAC .ohio.edu. And there are 9 PTACs across the state. And, you know, I'm sure there's one close to you. If you have any trouble reaching out to your local person, let me know and I'll try to help. Okay.
Thanks so much, Jane.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Kristen. Any other questions? Well, again, thank you, Jane, for this really important information about building really great capability statements. Again, we thank you. And this is really, again, I want to make it clear that it's really important that you get this in order to make the most use of session 4 in finding and responding to opportunities. At this time, I'd like to bring up Shelley Heller, who is president of Allied Shipping and Packaging Supplies. She's a member as well of our WBEC Forum representative for a few words.
Mm-hmm. Hi, everyone. You know, Jane, I'm an old dog, right? And I've been doing these capability statements for a really long time. But I did learn this today, and I appreciate it. To add the amount you've done and the dates of past performance of the past customers. I didn't realize that would be so important. I mean, that would grab someone's attention for sure. And then in light of what Kristen was saying, how I answered her question is, you know, past performance doesn't necessarily have to be with the government if you don't have any government past performance. So we put on, you know, retail and in catalogs and things of that nature in our capability statement that can kind of show how much we can handle or how much we can't handle. So I think that would help her a little bit too. And putting down that you accept credit cards. Who would have thunk it? I didn't
I
know that.
know. Yep.
I know. So, I mean,
10,000,
no, this is,
yeah, 10,000 and lower. They can reach out to a company, make a purchase, pay with the credit card, and it's done. That
Yeah.
adds up quick.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Trust me. And it's, no, these are really good tips. I'm really, and, you know, and to prioritize our list on our capability statement. So, and I think we do get a little wordy too, to be honest with you. I really appreciate that as well, because,
Yeah.
you know, you tend to like talk about yourself
Yeah.
like you're the, you know, like, and for the Academy Award winning, you know, that kind of thing, you know, and I
Right.
think we need to tone that down a little bit. So these were
Absolutely.
great.
Good.
So you can teach this old crabby woman. That's a good
Oh,
thing.
good. I'm glad I could help.
You were great. Also wanted to add too, and Kristen, this might help you as well. So, okay, for years and years and years, I've been following around and pestering the supplier diversity rep at Cigna, Bianca. Okay, there's a couple of them, and I've just been talking to them and talking about this ability that we might have for them to be able to temperature control a box, right? And they just nod at me and go, well, we know, you know, that kind of thing. And they nod at me. So this is 4 or 5 years down the pike, right? So, but what happened is they remembered that. And so they called us, Allied Shipping and Packaging Supplies, to see if we would be able to help them with a DoD contract that they have, so they could check the box per se of having a woman-owned business attached to it. So it was one label that has to be printed in mass, and that we are part of now, and we are in 6 figures right now of that. I mean, we're not making a lot of margin, but we're in the Cigna system. So I will say that corporations, don't kid yourself, do a crap load of business with the government. So I think that might be, you know, and I'm always trying a different way to get in, you know, than everybody else. Those who know me, Sheila, and that that is another way to, you know, pay attention to your supplier diversity people. They do remember, and they do, you know, and they remember for who you are and what you are, relationship building. So I think, you know, after all this time, they did finally say, you know, let's shut her up, and, you know, gave us this opportunity. And now we have another opportunity where we're part of an enormous RFP, because we have done this one label correctly. You know what I mean? So it's the small things that will add up and give you that past performance. And then I did find this quote from, and then I'll wrap it up, or I can keep talking for a long time. From Hannah Kane at Alum. Now, she does an enormous amount of business with the government, but she said this during one of our forum calls, and whenever she speaks, she's, you know, she's got everybody's attention. She's a big dog, and she's a wonderful woman to bounce ideas off and things like that. So don't forget that the women in WeBank can be just as big as the corporations and the people you want to do business with. So anyway, let me read this real quick. Alum holds large contracts with the federal and local governments, well into the 8 digits. We do not get awarded our contracts by chance. It took preparation, including understanding the customer, the process, and the requirements. The WeBe network is a plethora of resources to support your ambitious companies. WeBe's have the insight, the experience, the contacts, and most importantly, the willingness to share. It is the perfect place to contribute and get the support you need. So that coming from someone that I look up to, and I think many other people do. Do not be afraid to reach out and ask questions, as dumb as they are. I am the queen of asking the most stupidest questions on the planet. Just ask ORB. They just get worn out on me. But if you don't know, don't be afraid to ask. So anyway, I'm done. Thank you so much for including me.
Thank you so much, Shelley. I think Sheila Mixon has dropped off the call as of right now. So I'm going to give a few updates as we wrap up for today's session. Remember, the next topic is finding and responding to opportunities for session 4, which will be held on August 25th at 10 a.m. Billy Grill will be presenting that particular session. Also, the matchmaker will conclude the session on September 1st. So be sure to update your NAICS codes and your keywords to receive the best matches. Now, some of the agencies participating in the match are Air Force Life Cycle Management Center, Air Force Material Command, AEP, Defense Supply Center Columbus, NASA Glenn Research Center, and Ohio Department of Transportation. So be sure that you are in the mix for that. You don't want to miss those opportunities. Additionally, WBEC ORV is excited that we are gearing up for our 12th annual Catch the Wave conference, September 13th. And it will kick off. We are so excited. We will have in-person watch parties. The announcements will go out on today. Please take a look at that and select your location to participate in the watch parties. They're going to be really fun. We have an opportunity to dress in cultural attire, hear the fireside pitches, and really get into some great networking and the ability to be in front of our corporate members as well. So don't delay, get your registrations in. The deadline to receive a discount on registrations is August 17th. So again, don't delay and go on and get your registrations in for the conference. There are going to be over 30 corporations there, guys. So take advantage of that opportunity, and we hope to see you at Catch the Wave. If there is nothing else, I think we can go on and adjourn for today. I do again thank Jane Stewart for delivering our information today on capability statements. I'm sure we've all learned a lot here today. And as Vanessa mentioned, you will get a recording of the sessions, which includes the links. So anything that you've missed today, you will be able to review again. Again, thank you, Shelley, for your participation. We greatly appreciate all of you on this call today. Thank you. And wait a second. And we would also like to thank our sponsors, the Eaton Corporation. Don't want to miss that. So again, thank you all and have a great day.